This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
So we got to see the face of evil yesterday. Tyler Robinson appeared from jail remotely and was arraigned in court. The judge read the charges against him, 7 charges, including aggravated murder, which calls for the death penalty. And by the time this hearing was over, I was 100% convinced that this man, this demon, this monster will be executed. He only said 3 words, his name, Tyler James Robinson. The judge thanked him for coming, which was a little weird, but then explained all the charges. And it was clear to me after we heard the charges, after we heard the text messages between Robinson and his trans furry boyfriend, that this man is not insane. There will be no insanity defense. There is no defense. There is no getting out of this. It was quite clear. He admitted he did it in text messages. We'll get to those. And his mind was clear. His motive was clear. His intent was clear. He murdered Charlie Kirk because he hated him, because of his political beliefs, because of his ideology. This was terrorism from a trans-adjacent terrorist, and he did it in the wrong place. He did it in Utah. But the most amazing thing was hearing from him in text messages, hearing the county attorney explain that his mother said that he took a turn, that he became more militant, more left-wing, that he became more concerned about gay rights and trans issues. So we know who did it. We know how he did it. We know why he did it. And the media's reaction to that was, we still don't know the motive. This was just an amazing thing to watch. The press conference from the from the Utah attorney was at 12:30 Utah time. That is 2:30 Eastern time. At 9 o'clock last night, Caitlin Collins went on CNN. This is their big star. This is their primetime show. She has Ted Cruz as her guest. This is how she opens up the interview with Ted Cruz. Check this out.
And we don't have a motive yet. We don't know yet. We're waiting. Obviously, we've heard what the governors had to say, what the FBI director said today.
Come on, we don't have a motive yet.
We know
we don't have a motive yet.
What's happening with
really? That's CNN's position.
I mean, from law enforcement,
he just happened to fire the gun in celebration. You can't tell the motive.
Senator, that's not what I said. And I said law enforcement has laid out a direct motive. They've laid out a lot of evidence here of these messages and what the shooter said to
they've said that he was a left-wing activist who hated Charlie Kirk. Pardon?
Senator, with all due respect, you know exactly what I'm saying. I'm not arguing with you politically. I'm saying that law enforcement has not put a specific motive. You know that there's a difference of what they're putting in a legal argument than what you're talking about. And you're not even we're not even arguing about the facts here.
What you just said is false,
Senator.
Caitlin.
No.
Caitlin. Facts. Hold on a second. Let me answer your statement, because what you said is factually
Senator, with all
false.
due respect,
law enforcement.
With all due respect, you're
so you don't want
facts.
Here's what we knew before she went on the air. We knew he wrote the motive on the cartridges. We know he wrote, "Catch this, fascist." We know he wrote slogans that come from the trans community. He wrote about the bulge, which is trans messaging. He wrote the motive on the cartridges. We know he told his boyfriend in texts why he did it. We know his mother told authorities why he did it. We know he went to a group chat on Discord with more than 20 other people and told them why he did it or he was going to do it. And you have a news anchor on CNN say, we don't know the motive. All these people do is lie. They're in a tough spot. The violence, the political violence we're seeing across the country is coming almost exclusively from the left. So they either admit the truth or they lie to you, and they have chosen to lie. John Dickerson, the anchor on CBS, opened the evening news last night by saying, I want to get this right, the motive is still unknown, says John Dickerson. The motive is elusive, he said. Why? Why can't they just report the story? They don't have to take ownership of this guy and his little cult, his little trans cult in Utah. They just have to tell you the truth. And they refuse to do it. The motive, we have never seen a murder where the motive is clearer, more obvious. We've never seen a case that is more open and shut. He tells you what he did. He tells you why he did it. He tells you how he did it. The the Utah attorney and the judge both went through the texts, went through the charges, talked about the texts. The Utah attorney, Jeff Gray, meticulously lays this out. Now, you can decide whether you think it was a setup or script to get the roommate off the hook. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I know the conspiracy theories all think it's a setup. And Robinson did this to help his trans boyfriend, the furry, Lance Twiggs. You can decide whether you think this is legit or they set it up. But either way, he is admitting he did it, how he did it, why he did it. And the news, the anchors, the commentators, the pundits tell you we still don't know the motive. It's written on the cartridges. Let's get to the text because this is incredible. He's not insane. He's not insane. Tyler Robinson is not John Hinckley. He's not Mark David Chapman. He's not Jared Loughner, that lunatic that shot Gabby Giffords. That is not going to even be presented as a possibility, I don't believe. But he's not very smart either. He thinks he's going to get away with this. He wants to go back and get the gun because it's his grandfather's gun, and his father is going to be really upset if he loses grandpa's gun. That's his mindset. He's not insane, but he is really stupid. He thinks he's going to get away with this, as he tells his boyfriend. But I'm not sure what more evidence you need. I know the investigation is going in all different directions. Kash Patel said yesterday in the Senate hearing, which was wild. We'll get to that. But he said they're looking at more than 20 other people who may have had foreknowledge of this because they were in these Discord chats and they were communicating with Tyler Robinson. So maybe there'll be some dragnet that brings these people in. But he clearly, on the day of the shooting, acted alone and thought he could just hide the gun and go back later and get it and bring it back so he wouldn't get in big trouble with Dad. This was amazing. But and this guy, he was meticulous. He was deliberate. He just laid it out and explained to the world why this guy did it. Caitlin Collins, maybe she wasn't watching. Who knows? But listen to this.
Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting, and he did provide those messages to police. On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange, then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?" Robinson, "I am still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you." Roommate, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Robinson, I am. I'm sorry. Roommate, "I thought they caught the person." Robinson, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering. Roommate, why? Robinson, why did I do it? Roommate, yeah. Robinson, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence.
All right, let's stop there, because well, he just said, why'd I do it? And he explains why he did it. And then Caitlin Collins and John Dickerson, the motive is elusive. The motive is still unknown. All these people do is lie. All they do is lie. That was a remarkable exchange, but we're still not sure. I gotta throw this one to you, Ironhead. You're the resident conspiracy theorist. Is it legit, or was it scripted to get the roommate, Lance Twiggs, the furry trans roommate, off the hook?
I could definitely see that, because I don't know what young left-wing non-militant person is going to use terms like drop point.
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, it was just so clean where he says, why'd I do it? Why? Yeah, why'd you do it? And my takeaway from that was either set up or scripted. And I think the FBI has the ability to get to the bottom of that. Then we know the roommate is talking. We know the roommate is going to do everything he can to stay out of trouble. I mean, he's a kind of a weak-looking little furry trans guy. I don't think he wants to go to prison. So if it's an effort to get him off the hook, I think the FBI will know. But my takeaway from that is just how cavalier, casual, how soulless this guy is, how evil he is talking. Yeah, I just hate Charlie Kirk. I had an opportunity to take him out, and I did it. I took it. Couldn't be clearer. If you're a reporter for ABC News named Matt Gutman, who's an experienced reporter, he's covering the case for ABC, big job. His takeaway was a little different than mine after hearing the text messages, reading the text messages. This was just, I know we talk a lot about the corruption, the lying, the dishonesty, of the mainstream media. This must be hung in the Louvre. This is an all-timer. This is real. The ABC News reporter covering the case heard that text exchange. Here is his reaction.
Have seen an alleged murder with such specific text messages about the alleged murder weapon, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate, who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love. So it was this duality of someone who the attorney said not only jeopardized the life of Charlie Kirk and the crowd, but was doing it in front of children, which is one of the aggravating circumstances of this case. And on the other hand, he was, speaking so lovingly about his partner. So a very interesting, and as Pierre said, riveting press conference, David.
That is real. That was the report from the ABC guy after hearing that text exchange. Very touching and intimate, because he was trying to protect his lover. He went on 10 minutes later after there was some blowback, and he did it again. He said touching and intimate again. And then a few hours later, he posted an apology and tried to save his ass, because that is one of the most insane things I've ever heard. That is like, think of any murder case. That's like saying whatever that, Charlie Manson sent a love note to Squeaky Fromm. It was very touching and intimate. Did you realize how much Adolf Hitler loved Eva Braun? It was a very intimate and touching relationship. A man just murdered another man in cold blood. He's the face of evil. He showed no emotion in his hearing yesterday. He showed no remorse except for the fact that he lost Grandpa's gun. And this clown, this absolute fool, says it was touching and intimate. And then again, went on again, and said it again. That's the takeaway. That's who's reporting the news. That's the kind of person who's reporting the news to millions of people. Someone who watches a case, covers a case, saw Charlie Kirk get his throat blown out on TV, on camera, in front of children, including his own daughter, who nearly went up to the scene and saw her father's last breath. And this idiot says it was very touching because he called his tranny furry boyfriend love, my love. Oh God, they're out there. We're just beginning. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle it. Everybody, more and more people every day are coming to the realization that the violence we're seeing in this country is coming almost exclusively from the left. We've seen a real problem in the trans community, trans violence. There's an organization called Armed Queers, SLC, Armed Queers for Salt Lake City. And they're investigating now if there's a connection between the armed queers and Tyler Robinson and Lance Twiggs. You know what we know? There's a connection between the founder of Armed Queers, Amaya Fenian, and Elizabeth Warren. They're right there on your screen. There is my senior senator with her arm around Amaya Fenian, founder and leader of Armed Queers of Salt Lake City. And she's not the only one. She's got a relationship with a number of prominent Democrats. They are going to want to cover up this story. They're going to want to make this story go away. There is a real problem in the LGBT community. They're being convinced that Republicans like Charlie Kirk are trying to eradicate them, disappear them, kill them, wipe them out, and they should fight back with violence. They should be armed. This group is absolutely militant. They have posters with ARs holding guns, promising to teach them how to use guns. This woman has connections. I'm not sure she's a woman, but this person of Iranian descent, he is here leading, allegedly, an armed resistance to anybody who's anti-LGBT. And Charlie Kirk is not going to be the last. Hell, he's not the first. 2 little children were killed just last month in Minneapolis by an armed trans militant. They're desperate. They're fighting back, and it's not going to end anytime soon. All right, let's get to more desperate attempts for Democrats to distance themselves from Tyler Robinson and this heinous crime. Get me Jazzy Crockett. This is the kind of defense you have for this shooting. Jasmine Crockett said it couldn't be a Democrat because he was a good shot. This is a sitting congresswoman. And I know she's a moron. I know she's crazy. But she's on CNN. And she's talking about the most prominent political assassination we've seen in generations. And this is her explanation. Listen to this.
But when we look at it, please tell me who is fostering this gun culture, right? I mean, the reality is that the average person on the left probably couldn't make a shot from 200 yards because they haven't been playing with assault rifles since they were a little kid. Like, that is just the reality of how people on the left typically work. And if we believe that political violence is a problem in this country, if we believe that our children on campuses, just because they want to go out and have a day of free speech on campus, may be subjected to this kind of violence, then maybe we need to start talking about legislation that will keep these types of weapons out of certain people's hands. Now, whether or not this gentleman would have qualified under any type of laws that many of the Democrats have proposed, I don't know.
It was a bolt action 30-aughts.
I know. By the way, she's not the only one. Tim Walz was on there yesterday saying we need an assault weapons ban. Well, this was an old, really old bolt action rifle. You tell me, Jazzy, what legislation is going to keep that out of the hands of an adult? A bolt action rifle in the state of Utah. It's just so absurd. Like, Go ahead. I almost feel like saying, let's do it. Let's ban assault weapons, ban all AR-15s. You think that's going to stop someone like Tyler Robinson or the trans shooter in Minneapolis or the trans shooter in Nashville? That if you just take away one weapon, that they're just going to, see the light and get on the straight and narrow and not resort to violence? It's so absurd. It's all they have. All they have. Well, all we heard about. If you put a Democrat on TV today, they'll say, what about what happened to Josh Shapiro? Okay, Josh Shapiro's house was firebombed by a pro-Palestinian leftist. What about Melissa Hortman? Melissa Hortman was murdered by an insane Democrat, a Tim Walz appointee. They have to go back to Gabby Giffords 20 years ago, or Timothy McVeigh 30 years ago, because they know the violence is all coming. I watched Joe Scarborough this morning. He said there's a problem with political violence, and most of it is coming from the right. That's what that's what it's come down to. They look at you, they look into the camera, and they lie. It's all they've got. They either have to admit they have a problem on their side, or they lie to you. And that's what Caitlin Collins and John Dickerson and Jimmy Kimmel have decided to do. Let's just lie. Let's just tell people that up is down and white is black, and the violence is coming from the right. You know why you know the right, the conservatives are not the violent ones? Because they're out there doing their vigils and remembrances for Charlie Kirk. Democrats are disrupting them, vandalizing them, and they're not getting beaten up. No storefront has been boarded up. There's been no cop attack. There's been no fire set. There's been no rioting. There's been no looting. This was an icon to the right. As I've said, perhaps the third most important person on the right behind Trump and Vance. This was a 31-year-old guy who was extremely good at his job, very effective, who was changing hearts and minds and doing it through words and ideas and healthy exchange of ideas. That's what he did, and they killed him for it. This is the more I get more enraged every day when I think about what they took away. They took away a guy who did things the right way, who didn't have a violent streak, didn't attack people, didn't swear, didn't drink, did it with a smile. He was the ultimate joyful warrior, and he put himself in harm's way in order to convince people of things, and it worked. He went into the lion's den, into enemy territory, went on college campuses, took on leftists every day. That's what he did, and they killed him for it. It's more heinous the more you think about it. What they did, what they took away from us, and they're dancing on his grave. Get me that kid at Texas State. This is a student, and there's a vigil, a remembrance, people coming together, praying, remembering Charlie Kirk, and this punk disrupts the crowd and pretends he's getting shot in the neck. Watch this. Taps his neck, pretends, and he goes in front of he's in the back of the crowd now. He walks right up to the front of the crowd, pretending to get shot in the neck and laughing. And he walks by a bunch of people, a lot of big guys there, and no one touches him. That's how you know one side. That's how you know we're not the same. Here he is up on a statue in front of the crowd, pretends to get shot in the neck, lays down, gyrates, laughs. Now, if we're violent on this side, that punk would have been beaten half to death right there. He's by himself. He's mocking them all. And no one does anything. No one stops him. There was a rock at University of North Carolina, Wilmington. They painted a rock in remembrance of Charlie with red, white, and blue and some words about Charlie Kirk. Leftists went out and painted over it in front of people, and no one beat them, no one hurt them, no one stopped them. They told the cops, but they didn't. There was no mob violence. There was no mob justice. I mean, I wouldn't mind it in some of these cases, but they just tell you that it's both sides. They just tell you we have a problem on both sides because of Timothy McVeigh or because of Paul Pelosi. Another absurd comparison. Paul Pelosi was beaten by a homeless, drug addict, illegal alien, by an insane guy in his home. It had nothing to do with Republicans, nothing to do with politics, but that's all they have. That's all they can do is look you in the face and lie to you. Jimmy Kimmel. This is amazing. Jimmy Kimmel knows he's lying. We knew instantly that Tyler Robinson wasn't MAGA. We knew he wasn't. I mean, he killed Charlie Kirk. What more do you need to know? And about 10 minutes later, we knew he had a transgender boyfriend. We knew he'd been radicalized online. The FBI estimated he spent 2,100 hours online on these Discord chats and just consuming this crazy extremist information about trans issues and gay rights issues, and he got radicalized and he took up arms and he killed Charlie Kirk. This is how an alleged comedian, Jimmy Kimmel, described it 2 nights ago. So he knew the truth, and he lied to his audience anyway. Go ahead.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
We just heard from him. He said they knew that Republicans knew he was MAGA. What? This is a guy on ABC. This is a very prominent guy, just flat out lying, and he knew it. That's worse than anything Stephen Colbert did or has said. That is amazing. And he won't apologize. He won't correct the record because he knew it wasn't true. He said it anyway. It's incredible. And you also have Democrats, and I watched a bunch of them, denying that they have a problem with people celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, denying that the internet, that all the social media platforms aren't full of people, nurses and doctors and cops and military people and professors and teachers, lots and lots of teachers celebrating, literally dancing because a father of 2, a 31-year-old Christian man, got shot in the throat. Give me this MSNBC woman, Brandy Zadronsky. This is remarkable because if you don't know who she is, she works for MSNBC. Her job, she's a reporter who specializes in online extremism. She literally tries to get people canceled, right-wingers, Republicans, if they say anything she doesn't like online. Her job is to report on online extremism, which means I assume she's online a lot. I'm online a lot. I have literally seen, if not 1,000, 500, 600 people celebrate the murder of Charlie Kirk. Many of them have been fired. That is a good thing. We don't need Pam Bondi here. The marketplace is doing its thing, calling these people out, including the Office Depot person, by the way. The Office Depot person who refused to make the posters got fired. That's how it's supposed to work, Pam Bondi. We don't want her arrested. We want her fired. And she was. That's good. But if you're watching MSNBC, you think it's not really a thing. They're not really celebrating online. This is, again, a woman who knows she's lying and doesn't care. This is what her employer wants, I assume. Looks into the camera and lies. Listen to this.
I think if you look across media generally, you have seen a lot of people trying to grapple with Charlie Kirk's legacy and what that is as a right-wing agitator and as a provocateur and as, a strategist and the most important GOP figure besides Donald Trump, arguably ever. And so, or right now. And so there's a lot of grappling to do, but to suggest that the internet is cheering for this is just the opposite. Total opposite of what's actually happening.
It is horrible.
What? To suggest that people are cheering for this online is the opposite of what's happening? That's like, that'd be like, I don't know, a sports reporter telling you that the Buffalo Bills suck. To suggest the Buffalo Bills are really good is the opposite of what's happening. That is a liar. That's all, gaslighting her audience. It's remarkable how many people have celebrated. In fact, they're still doing it. After people have been fired, called out, they're still out there celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. They have a problem, and their answer is, let's deny it. Let's cover it up with a pillow until it stops moving. Let's lie to our audience. All right, speaking of liars, we got to get to this Kash Patel, Adam Schiff exchange. I loved it. I know some people thought it was a little out of control. I don't care. I want one thing above all others from Trump cabinet members, appointees. I want fighters. I want pushback. I want people to call out these bad actors on the left. And there's no worse actor than Adam Schiff. It's amazing that he's a sitting senator. No one has lied more. He lied literally every night for 2 years about Russiagate. He lied about January 6th. He lied on his mortgage applications. He is just the lowest form of life, the worst of the worst. And he's up there grilling Kash Patel. By the way, they were grilling him about the investigation into the Kirk murder, which was a little strange to me. They got the guy in 33 hours. I mean, I know they grabbed the old guy at first. The old guy said, I did it. He was a nut. He was trying to help Tyler Robinson get away. That guy is just a lunatic. But what were you supposed to do? When he's in the crowd, he says, I did it. Of course they arrested him. Anyway, that wasn't the biggest part of the hearing. There was just so many wild exchanges. This clown, Schiff, wanted to know if they were firing agents who, I don't know, hate Donald Trump. You know, people who try to put Trump in prison. I almost wanted Patel to say, yeah, we did that. Trump doesn't want those people working for him. This is his agency. This is in the executive branch to answer to him. Of course, he doesn't want people who hate him, but Patel didn't come out and admit it. And he handled it well, as he always does. And man, did he push back. Here's Kash Patel, FBI director, with Shifty Schiff.
People to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No, I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of
you're
inmates.
Not in the weeds?
What I am doing is protecting this country, providing historic reform, and combating the weaponization of intelligence by the likes of you. And we have countlessly proven you to be a liar in Russiagate, in January 6th. You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised that you continue to lie from your perch and put on a show so you can go raise money for your charade. You are a political buffoon at best.
Well, you can take an internet troll.
Take it to the bank that the FBI is protecting this country and the state and citizens of California. We are bringing historic reform. Point of order. But all you care about is a child sex predator that was prosecuted by a prior administration, and the Obama Justice Department and the Biden Justice Department did squat. And what did President Trump do? Bring new charges courageously. And what have we done?
Chairman,
you said I'm the most transparent FBI director in history. 33,000 pages of information to you. I challenge you to say anything credibly to the truth. Go ahead and run to the cameras where you want to go now.
Both of you be quiet.
Both of you be quiet. That was out of order, I know. Kash got a little excited. I don't blame him. Can you imagine having your integrity questioned by a scumbag like Adam Schiff? I couldn't handle it either. I don't blame him. But I tell you what, got very little coverage and will get very little coverage. I watched this hearing. It was amazing. We'll get to Maisie. But in the hearing, Chuck Grassley announced that there was a program under Joe Biden run by Christopher Wray called Arctic Frost, which investigated 92 different conservative organizations, including Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's organization. They targeted 92 conservative groups. That's what Christopher Wray did. And these clowns are grilling Kash Patel about politicizing the FBI. That was the takeaway. I know the theater of this was great. There was a lot of fireworks, but that should be the lead in the New York Times. It's not in the New York Times and on NBC. That Joe Biden used the FBI to target conservative groups, including Catholics and Christians and TPUSA. It was totally corrupted under Joe Biden. Kash Patel is cleaning it up. And their big line of attack was, you're politicizing the FBI. You know what? I hope they are. I hope they are. I hope they're balancing the scales this time, because they used this once great organization. They used it as a political arm of the Biden campaign and tried to destroy conservative groups. Arctic frost, said Chuck Grassley. But there was some humor here too. Let's get to Mazie. I often qualify my description of Ed Markey. He's the dumbest man in the U.S. Senate. I have no doubt about that. He is just not a bright man. He is just a hack. And every time he talks or tweets or posts, it's just laughable. He's just such a dope. But he's probably not the dumbest person in the U.S. Senate. That honor belongs to Mazie Hirono from Hawaii, who is just embarrassing. I know Hawaii is a red, hopeless state. I mean, a blue state, hopeless and just off the rails, like Massachusetts, like California. But this is who they send to the Senate. She has 5 minutes to question Kash Patel, and she wants to know why he makes new FBI agents, do pull-ups. Yeah, that's how she took her time to ask him why they have to do pull-ups. Here it is.
Move on to my, you've been asked some questions about changes to your hiring standard, and including college degrees and possibly the age. But, one question I had is, that you are now requiring applicants to be able to do a certain kind of pull-ups, which a lot of women cannot because of physiological differences. Are you requiring these kinds of pull-ups?
We are requiring a physical program at BFTC at Quantico because FBI agents carrying guns in the field have to chase down bad guys and do really hard work. The physical fitness standards of those agents
are you requiring these kinds of pull-ups?
We are requiring everybody to pass the 1811 standards at BFTC. If you want to chase down a bad guy and put him in handcuffs, you better be able to do a pull-up.
The reason I ask is that there are concerns about whether or not being able to do these kinds of harsh pull-ups is really required of FBI agents.
Doing one pull-up is not harsh, and there are always medical exemptions to that.
How do they keep it together when they're being questioned by this absolute moron? Yeah, do you require them to do a pull-up? Yes, we do. They have to do a pull-up. The FBI. Oh, no, not that. By the way, this was a big moment. This was an illuminating moment. This was a Democrat admitting before the world that there are differences between men and women. There are physical advantages men have over women. Would have been great if Kash said, oh, so you think men are bigger and stronger than women, and you still want them to play women's sports? Do I have that right, lady? That should be a clip that we keep. That's a keeper right there. A Democrat admitting women aren't as strong as men. Gee, would that apply to Leah Thomas or any of the punks who are boys running girls' track, stealing girls' awards, stealing girls' records? Would that apply to them? Mazie, you moron. I think she just said something, she's not supposed to say. Men are stronger than women. What do you know? All right, before we go, I should have done this yesterday. I had that written down yesterday. Robert Redford passed away 2 days ago in Utah, by the way, where he lived at 89 years old. He was a big liberal, but it wasn't, in those days, it wasn't like Robert De Niro. He didn't go on camera every day and say, Ronald Reagan is evil. He was a big environmentalist, and he was quite the icon when I was a kid. I ranked my Robert Redford movies. I'm sure you have a different list, Ironhead, but The Natural would be the best. Natural was great. Roy Hobbs is just an iconic figure, and it's a corny movie, but it's a great movie. Number 2, I loved this as a kid. I think it was the first movie I saw in the theater, The Sting, with Robert Shaw and Robert Redford. Great movie. Butch Cassidy, of course, from The Sundance Kid, perhaps his most renowned movie. And number 4, a great movie that I've seen a few times. I love 3 Days of the Condor. Spectacular movie. I'll throw Indecent Proposal at number 5, but this is my top 5 Robert Redford movies. If you weren't around, he was a huge star, just an iconic figure, and he made some bad movies, made some corny, rom-com kind of movies, but he made some just iconic movies, including The Natural. Roy Hobbs was just a great figure. But as Wilford Brimley said, his coach, you're the best player I ever managed and the best hitter I've ever seen. That was a memorable line. But R.I.P. to Robert Redford. And we'll wait and see what's next. Yesterday, or the last couple of days, we had Ryan Ruth, we had Luigi Mangione, and we had Tyler Robinson in court, all 3 crazed left-wing killers or attempted killers. And outside the courtroom in New York City, there were hundreds of people cheering when they dropped the terrorism charges, cheering for a cold-blooded murderer. Shirts, hats, signs, just idolizing, adoring a cold-blooded murderer, a man who shot in the back a father of 2. Sadly, he will not be executed, but Tyler Robinson will, and perhaps even by firing squad, which they still have in Utah. I would absolutely love to see it. That's too good for Tyler Robinson. But that will do it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we will do it again tomorrow.
I didn't say it's on one side, but I say the radical left causes tremendous violence, and they seem to do it in a bigger way. But the radical left really is caused a lot of problems for this country. I really think they hate our country.